morning, everybody. My name's Antoine Coffin. I'm the Kaihotu for the Waikato River Authority, and it's my privilege to declare our AGM open. Firstly, I'd like to pass on the rākau to our esteemed guest from Tūwharetua to welcome us all. Kia ora.
Whakatau I hoai te tihi o tongiriro maunga ki nuku hau ki runga. Atu I reire re tonu wai te puno wai ki a Waikato Iti. Atu I a Waikato Iti re tonu wai ki Tongariro. Atu I a Tongariro re tonu wai ki te mātāpuna a ngā toroirangi o tira te kōpua kānapanapa ātia. Re tonu atu a Taupō moana ki Taupō haruru. Re tonu ana ki nuku hau. Hei aha koa kei te tūwhera tonu te awa ki nuku hau. Re tonu ana ki matawhero, te taniwha tuatahi o Waikato taniwharau, he piko he taniwha, he piko he taniwha. Mai matawhero, re tonu ana ki te otumu heke, ki te hipapatua, ki te tāheke hukahuka, o tira re tonu atu ki ngā rua wāhia tūranga waiwai mō te ao katoa, o tira anō hoki te kiingitanga, re tonu ana ki te pūaho o Waikato awa, o tira ki kāwhia moana, kāwhia kai, kāwhia tangata. Tēnei te mihi atu o Tongariro, Waikoha ki a Taupiri Paikaranga. O tira anō hoki, ngā huanga katoa, ngā whanaunga katoa, te aroa, ngā ti tahu, ngā ti maniapoto, ngā ti raukawa. He uri tēnei anō, no te rangi ita, rau ko Waitapu, no rere tēnei tūwharetoa, e titiro kawana ki maunga tautari. Tēnei au e mihi atu, tēnei anō au e mihi atu ki a tātou katoa. Mai ngā kokonga e whā o te ao, mō ngā tōpito e whā, mai ngā hau e whā, tēnā tātou. Tōku ingoa ko Bronson i ruere Perich, he uri no Waikato, he uri no te aroa waka, he uri anō no ngā tukimata whaurua. Muro mai te ngā puhitanga o tēnei tū ki mui a koutou. Engari me mātua mōhio, aha ko e tū ana hau ki ngā whenua Wairiki, ngā whenua tūpona o Wairākei, e mihi tonu ana ki ngōku whanaunga o te aroa, raua ko Tainui, o tira ki a tātou katoa. Me pēnei te taku whakataui ki a koutou I tēnei wā tonu. Kei mui au te pōari, tēnā koutou katoa, koutou e kawi atu te mana a iwi I ngā taniwha rau o Waikato. No reira tēnei au e mihi atu. Mātou e tautoko ani te kaupapa, ka huri anō ki a koutou, aku mihi atu. Koutou ko atu tū mai nā rungi I ngō koutou whakapapa, aha ko te aha e mihi atu nei ahau ki a koutou. Hei muri atu taku kariki a tīmata ka hoatu anō te rākau kei taku taha nei. Kia ino e tātou. E pātō matamati nui te rangi. Ka nui te taumaha ke runga te whenua nei. E rua ngā mate. Kua wehe atu ki te pō, mai tumanui, mai ngā ti tokerau ki Taupō anō. No reira manaki hia ngā whānau pani. Manaki hia te wānanga nei, kia āhei te pōari, te takitaki me te whakamārama atu ki te iwi ngā mahi e rātou hei painga mō te iwi. Manaki hia ngā whānau me ngā hapu, me ngā iwi katoa e hono ai ki a Waikato taniwharau. Manaki hia mā rātou, koutou e mātekitanga nā runga te ipirangi, manaki hia ngā mahi nei. Tēnei tā mātou inoi ki a koe, maroto te ngā tapu ua karaiti, āmene. Huru no te rākau kōrero.
Tuatahi mihi ana ki a koe e te rangatira Bronson. Nau ki atu te harawhata ki te runga rawa, hei whakapai tō tātou nei hui. No reira, tēnei te mihi, tēnei te mihi, tēnei te mihi. Mai te rangi ki te papa te mauri o te whenua. Tongariro te maunga, Taupō te moana. Ngā ti tūwharetoa te iwi. Te hiu te tangata. Tēnei te mihi. Tēnei te mihi atu ki a koutou katoa. Ko te tupuna a iwi kau, I kia nei te kōrero hinana ki uta, hinana ki tai. Tirohia ki te wāhi o ngā rangatira tirohia ki te wai o ngā taniwha. Tukuna kia taupiri te maunga, Waikato te awa, he piko he taniwha, Waikato taniwha rau. Tērā te korowai aroha hei haumaru tō tātou nei mahi i raro te kaupapa o te rangi nei. Te hui atau o te Waikato River Authority. Me mai a tā whiao he kōrero tuku iho. Ka mātaki iho au ki te rū o Waikato ana nei hei kāpō kauake māku ki te kapu o takuringa. Ka whakamiri no i tōna ara tau e tia nei i tupu puahau. Kia hiwa ake au ki te tihi o Pirongia, ina hei torunga whakaruru hau mōna ki tōku tau e whirotanga. Anā te ngoto o tōna ngāwha i ōna uma ki hai i ārekereka, a maunga tautari, a maunga kawa, o kupoke maunga ngā taonga tuku iho. Hoki ake nei ki tōku awa koiora, mi ōna pikonga, he kuratangi hea o te mātāmuri. E whakawhiti atu ai ki te kōpū mani o kirikiri roa, mi ōna māra kai, te ngāwha whakatupu ake o te whenua mōmana. Hei kawea ki ngā rua wāhia, te huinga o te tangata. Ara, te pai haumako hei oki ngā mo taku ūpoko, hei tirohanga atu māraro i ngā hūhā o taupiri. Kei reira rā te ōroka hanganga o te tangata, wāhia te tūngāroa o te whare, te whakaputanga mō te kingitanga. E mihi ana ki tō tātou kuini, a ngā wai hono i te pō, e noho ani ta ahurewa tapu tōna matua, ōna tupuna, pai mārere ki aia. Huri noa ki a tātou, kua hui mai i tēnei ata. I raro te tūni o tēnei whare, tēnā kūtau, ki ara tātou katoa. Pai mārere.
Hei, kia ora mai tātou. E mihi kawana kia kōrua i timata i tātou hui i tēnei ata. Nō reira e te tuatai e tā rangatira. Nau e whai atu rā te karakia mā tātou. Nō reira tēnā koe o tira, tēnā koe Gannon tō whakautu. Tēnei wā e tukuna te rākau ki ngā te tokarua nei o ngā chairs. Ko Stu raua ko Danny, i timata i tātou kōrero e pāna ki tēnei hui ātau ko the AGM. So I'm going to invite the co-chairs very shortly to do some introductions, comments and a call for apologies, and also some acknowledgements. But just before I do that, just go through our agenda for today. This is the health and safety part of our AGM. In case of an emergency, and we are sitting on top of a volcano, so if steam rises out of the floor, we have to move very quickly through those doors to my right, to your left, and we'll meet outside in the car park and then work out where we're going to go from there. Wharaiti are just directly across from us. We've also got bottled water here for anyone who needs water during the day, and we've also got some sanitizer for everybody. I know none of you smoke, but just in case you know someone who does, this is a smoke-free area, and there is no smoking on the site. I tukuna te rākau i tēnei wā, kia koutou.
Morena koutou, ko Stu Kneebone, ahau, ko tētahi o ngā tiamana takirua. So Stu Kneebone, I'm one of the co-chairs I'm the Crown-appointed co-chair alongside my colleague Danny O'Loughlin, who's the iwi co-chair. Nau mai, haere mai, welcome to our AGM. Very pleased to have you all here. Koutou kua tai mai, tēnana mai nei, koutou ke rongi te purangi, nau mai, haere mai. First of all, I'm going to call for apologies. So I'll start with our board members. We've got Shad Rolliston, Roger Pekia, Susan O'Regan, the Minister for the Environment, Penny Simmons. We've also got Evelyn Forrest, who's the chair of the Te Arawa River Iwi Trust, I think. And are there any further apologies that we haven't received? Happy to take now. No, been no further apologies. I'll move that those apologies be received. I'll ask for a seconder. Stu Muir is going to second that. All those in favour, please say aye. Anyone against? Carried. Thank you. I'd now like to get each of our board members just to briefly come up to the mic and introduce themselves. So I'll start with you, Edina.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Edina Watene, and I'm one of the Crown appointed reps, and looking forward to the day. Thank you. Kia ora, ko Ngāchao Ngā Waiata Piriana Tama Mai Griffiths toku ingoa, and I am the appointee for the Raukawa Charitable Trust. Kia ora.
Kia ora tātou, ko Stu Muir taku ingoa, e tūpake au i te taho o te awa, o te puaha o te awa down at Akaka. I'm a Crown appointee, Deputy Co-Chair and I came on last year, so kia ora tātou.
Kia ora tātou, ko Danny O'Loughlin taku ingoa. Lovely to see you all here today. I am the appointee for the Tūwhara Tō Māori Trust Board and the iwi co-chair for the Waikato River Authority. Kia ora.
Morena tātou, my name is Gannon Ormsby and I'm the Maniapoto representative on the board. Tēnā tātou.
Tēnā kōrua Bronson, rawa ko Gannon, he whakatūwhera tō tātou hui. Me mihi ka tika ki te tēnā koutou, ki te mana whenua o tēnei whenua, ki te whare o te hauhau, o te rā ki ngā Māori o te rohe nei. Ko Taupiri te maunga, ko Waikato te awa, Pototau te whero, ko Jackie Collier tōku ingoa. I'm the new representative for Waikato Tainui. Tēnā koe.
So, look, thank you, everyone. So just before I hand over to my colleague Danny, I'd also like to acknowledge two special friends of the Waikato River Authority whānau that we have here tonight. So Tipa Mahuta and Wikitoria Tāne. So Tipa recently concluded 5 years with the Waikato River Authority as iwi co-chair. Wikitoria also recently concluded 5 years with the River Authority as member, iwi appointed member for Ngāti Maniapoto. He mihi nui tēnei kia korua. So last night we all had a really enjoyable dinner courtesy of the manaakitanga of Ngāti Tūwharetoa at the prawn farm restaurant, and we took that opportunity to I guess informally, but very warmly acknowledge the contributions that both Tipa and Wikitoria had made to the Waikato River Authority over the past 5 years. So nā te Waikato River Authority he mihi nui tēnei ki o korua, mahi o korua, a pūmanawa kua tākoha e korua hei painga mo te awa tupuna, painga mo te River Authority. Nā mihi nui kia korua. So great to have you here today supporting our hui ato, so ngā mihi. So I'll now hand over to my colleague Danny, who's going to share some thoughts going forward. So, got it, Danny.
Ko tonga rero te maunga, ko Taupō te mōna, ko tuwharatō te iwi, ko te heo te tangata. E mihi ana au ki te whare areki o te heo me te whare areki o pōtatau. Tangihia o tātou mate, kua huri ki tua, haere whaka ngāro autu rā. Ko kingi tuheiti ki te rangi, ko kuini ngā wai I hono I te pō ki te whenua. O te rā, tātou kui hui mai nei I te reo karanga o te Waikato River Authority, tēnei te mihi kia koutou. The Waikato River Authority has made significant progress in our mission to restore and protect the health and well-being of the Waikato River and Waipa rivers. Aramai. Despite navigating a significant period of leadership transition over the past year. We provided funding for a wide range of river restoration initiatives throughout the Waikato catchment and have worked in conjunction with River Iwi to combat the invasion of gold clams. We hosted the Te Awa o Waikato River Symposium in December, which attracted both national and international delegates. This progress is a testament to the hard work of our dedicated board and staff who have worked tirelessly to maintain the confidence of our partners, continuing funding impactful projects and sustain organisational reputation. We were thrilled to announce that Anton Coffin was appointed as our kaihotu and our Chief Executive Officer to follow through following through a nationwide inquiry. Anton's leadership is essential, particularly in light of the Fast Track Approvals Bill, which has the potential to bypass traditional resource consent processes and te ture whaimana. Given his extensive experience in Māori resource management, treaty settlements, cultural heritage, and community engagement, which spans over 25 years. The WRA has also acted in response to national and regional policies that jeopardise the integrity of te ture whaimana. The current direction-setting document for the catchment. Our objective is to guarantee that all legislative and practical components facilitate the development of te ture whaimana. At present, we are in phase 3 of the review of te ture whaimana, having completed the initial phases that established a review framework and conducted a gaps analysis that focused on key areas for public discussion. It is our aspiration that the review will proceed to enhance te ture whaimana for the upcoming decade. The review of te ture whaimana is an exciting opportunity to further the kaupapa of resourcing and protecting the Waikato and Waipa rivers. The team has been actively involved in discussions with our River Iwi partners regarding a variety of critical topics with the objective of drafting a new version by 2025. Te ture whaimana delineates the vision, objectives and strategies for the restoration of the health and well-being of our rivers and their catchment. It is a visionary and distinctive treaty settlement mechanism that embodies the aspirations and of both the past and the future. This year, the Waikato River Cleanup Trust approved 29 initiatives which collectively amounted to $5.9 million. Furthermore, 32 projects were completed, bringing the total number of completed river restoration projects to 312 since our establishment. We are prepared to refine our strategies and strengthen our advocacy efforts for the rivers that unite us all, with our new kaihotu, Anton Coffin, guiding the way. Tēnā koutou katoa, aramai.
highlight of the past year.
I see many of our friends of the river, but most of all I see the whakapapa of my river, Watai mai te rangi nei. You've seen the logo, so if you have a look at it, it brings together, I guess what we're trying to bring together today to make more normal, is that there is knowledge. There's the mātauranga that always lived here, and there's the science that has been brought here. Today is the coming together of the best parts of those, so that our river, and I say our river, can be the beneficiary of that. So that we are the kaitiaki of the future that the old people aspire to.
On day one, the focus was on local initiatives, showcasing inspiring projects led by practitioners within our community.
So Te Puia Herangi, wetland restoration, I guess that name in itself needs no introduction here into Waikato. What I will focus on though is the farm that was left as part of her legacy, which still, I guess, forms a huge part of supporting the kingitanga and tūranga wāwai marae operations. From what I have been told, Te Puia, along with a number of people, including many of the children that she helped to whāngai and raise, were involved in working this whenua a number of years ago. I believe there were marakai gardens, etc. set up on this farm, and at some point in time it was converted into a dairy farm. We as Fonterra are very fortunate to receive the milk from that farm, considering its history. And I guess by naming this project in her honour, for me I think brings with it a lot of mana, but also a lot of responsibility to do things right.
I'm reminded by something David Attenborough said. He said, "No one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about it until they experience it." And this is why one of the key steps for us and the success of our project was to get our whānau involved.
So one of the difficulties for us, straight up, it was navigating that communication with our own whānau, our own aunties. And our biggest learnings was keep pursuing, keep going, don't give up. Just because someone says no means no for now. For today, it just means no for today. But hey, we're from the whenua, we're not going anywhere.
Day 2 broadened the scope, introducing insights from international experts.
It's a 40,000-year-old cave with those people's occupation. Evidence, you know, there's sacred items in there, and a mining company blew it up. But they had approval to do it. That's normal. Every day, that's business as usual in the colony, as we say.
Agriculture has sort of removed us from our traditional land, and also it removes us from maintaining our cultural obligations as well, of caring for our places.
I say at the top of watersheds are longitudinally connected systems. Things flow downhill. But in river ecology, we think about them more as networks. But to go into an audience and explain what a network system is as opposed to water running downhill can be difficult. So sometimes we have to back down on the science to make the connection.
Keep the communication simple and share information that other people can share with anyone they meet. And if it's overcomplicated, they won't share it, they won't relate to it, and they won't understand it.
The symposium reaffirmed our common commitment to the Waikato and Waipa rivers, anchored by Te Ture Whaimana, which gives a clear vision for restoration efforts, addressing past legacies, fostering partnerships, and long-term intergenerational collaboration. Hear the voice of the awa, its call for help, urge speakers.
So that you need to be the taniwha and you're in that role. It's not just about the mana, it's about, making good calls, and in this instance for our awa.
Heed the taniwha, be the taniwha.
O katoa itia na mihi ki te whare ariki o te hiuhiu me te whare ariki o pōtatau. Tainawa ki o tātou mate e hinga mai nei, e hinga atu rā. Ko koutou te hunga mati kia koutou, ko tātou te pita ora kia tātou. E nā manuhuri tuarangi, e nā mata waka, e rananga tera mā tēnā koutou katoa. E hare ko ana tēnā ko tai mai. Mātou te WRA, e roto i te manaakitanga o Ngāti Tūwharetoa. So that video you've just seen was produced by our very own Tanga Nathan, mihi nui kia koe Tianga. That inaugural Te Awa or Waikato River Symposium that the authority hosted was a real highlight of our past year. It was a pioneering 2-day event for all of us connected to and involved in the restoration and protection of the awa. We had over 200 attendees, 30 national and international experts in river restoration, and most of which you just saw with a few highlights of their kōrero. We had a technical workshop and a field trip as well over 3, maybe 4 days, I think. The sharing of national and international expertise on river restoration and activities within their catchments was mandated by Te Ture Whaimana, Te Awa o Waikato, which of course is a vision and strategy for the Waikato River. And look, that's the reason for our being. It's our kaupapa, it's why we exist. I was fortunate to have the opportunity to be one of the speakers at the event, and I talked about the policies that affect the Waikato and Waipa rivers and reflected on the things that influence those policies, and I guess with an effort to try and look forward to the future with some optimism and what that might look like. It's really imperative that we recognise that the Waikato and Waipa rivers are not disconnected or isolated from the broader environmental and social challenges that we're and when we're discussing those things and formulating policy that affects them, we need to be really mindful of that. So I'm a 4th generation farmer. One of my cousins still manages the farm that my great-grandfather bought in 1910. So I'm really acutely aware of the implications of the way our regulatory frameworks are developing and the impacts that has on the viability of Aotearoa's agribusiness, noting the contribution that agribusiness makes to our nation and the Waikato's well-being. And look, those of you here today and listening in that have been involved in the Lake Taupō Protection Project will be well aware of that. So I started my governance career in the Waikato Regional Council some time ago now, and that beginning was via a local stream care and community possum control initiative. I'm also very aware of the interdependence between biodiversity, water quality, and the way in which we use our land for economic gain. I have been and continue to be a proponent of initiatives that enhance biodiversity, improve water quality, and improve the health of catchments. However, if we're to achieve Te Ture Whaimana, we need policies that are fit for purpose, that are balanced, and they need to be based on sound evidence, and they need to be underpinned by mātauranga Māori. Those policies should promote responsible land use and protect our rivers for future generations. However, the national decision-making framework is one of the primary obstacles that we encounter, as it frequently obstructs the influence of Te Ture Whaimana. You know, we find ourselves caught in a web of, quite a complex web of resource management legislation, which it renders our efforts quite cumbersome. So thinking back, and many of you will recall the large scale land use change that took place between approximately 2001 and 2018. Just next door to us here, where we stand today, we're up to 40,000 hectares of land was converted from pine trees to dairy farms in the region, in our own Waikato River catchment. Now that significantly increased the end loading into the awa, despite evidence being really clear that the awa was already far from healthy and the contaminant losses from agricultural operations into the awa needed to be reduced. But despite the best efforts of the regional council of the day, its ability to prevent those conversions and the associated substantial increase of contaminants into the awa was completely fettered by the RMA processes that we were, or the council was bound to follow. In a somewhat ironical twist of fate, at the very same time as that was happening, a partnership of regional council, district council, Ministry for the Environment and Tūwhare Toa, they were gearing up to spend $81 million of public money to reduce the nitrogen flowing into Lake Taupō, immediately upstream of where those intensifications were happening. Now 20% was the number that the we landed on in terms of the end reduction that we thought needed to, I'm sorry, I'm speaking with my regional council hat on here, that we thought needed to be reduced by to maintain the water quality of Lake Taupō. Now, that was a significant reduction, and large sacrifices were made and continue to be made by the farmers in the catchment, as many of you today will know. Look, it's been a really groundbreaking project in its own right, and all credit to those that drove it. But my point is there that it was an example of where one bit of legislation was completely unstitching the efforts that we were trying to make in the Taupō catchment. And look, those issues are still relevant today. I think it was the day before yesterday the government released another change to the RMA. I think it was called the Resource Consenting and Other Systems Changes Amendment Bill. It was introduced into the House. And look, that's one of many that have been introduced at the moment by the current government, and it will inevitably have implications for our ability to achieve Te Ture Whaimana, how it's applied, and how the Regional Council, who's a key regulatory agency, will be able to give effect to Te Ture Whaimana via its various policy and regulatory frameworks. The WRA has got a critical role here to be right over those legislative changes, and I note Anton has just appointed a new senior policy advisor, Justine Young, who's in the room. Ngā mihi ki a koe, Justine. And her role is, with the support of the board, is going to be ensuring that Te Ture Whaimana maintains its rightful place as a primary direction-setting document for the river, and that other government and central government policies aren't undermining that. So I guess my key point is the policies that affect the Waikato and Waipa rivers are complex, but they do require a fundamental respect for Te Ture Whaimana. So look, going forward, the learnings from that symposium, it's a real opportunity to write a new chapter for where we go from here, acknowledging that the history of the Waikato and Waipa rivers is tupuna awa. They serve as a reminder of their enduring significance, and we're well aware of our responsibility to ensure that endures going forward. Ngā mihi nui, tēnā tātou katoa.
Kia ora, Stu. Kia ora, Danny. Thank you very much to our co-chairs for your reports. At this time, we're going to pass the rākau over to Ken Stevens, who's our accountant, and he's going to present our financials. I know this is the part that you've all been waiting for. For those who are online, there's lots of smiles in the audience at the moment. So, kia ora, Ken. Welcome to the podium.
Kia ora tātou, ko Ken Stevens, tōku noa. My name is Ken Stevens. I'm from KPMG, and it's my privilege to present the financial report for both the Waikato River Cleanup Trust and the Waikato River Authority. Firstly, we'll look at the balance sheet, and this paints a very healthy picture of a strong balance sheet with a significant milestone achieved in the current financial year, being $100 million both under funds management and held as cash. The settlement funding receivable of $92 million reflects both the Crown settlement receivable and the Watercare receivable, due to be received in instalments over the next 14 to 18 years. And at the very top, there is a very fine sliver of liabilities, and that reflects amounts payable by the group. That's been maintained while assets have grown. If we look at the last 3 years, in summary, we can see that there has been significant growth over those 3 years in terms of total assets held, and again, we've maintained liabilities at a very similar level over that time. As we look at the financial performance for the current financial year, we have income of $9.5 million, reflecting interest on the funds under management, settlement funding, interest receivable, dividends and government grants. We have project grants payments of a little under $4 million and other expenses of around $4 million. We also have unrealised capital gains on our investment revaluations, resulting in total comprehensive income or profit of a little under 7.5 million for the year. When we look at trend analysis over the last 3 years, we can see that we have had some rather big fluctuations in total revenue. Last year, that was due to the way that the settlement with Watercare was recognised in the first year. And as you can see in the gain and loss on, or loss on investment revaluation, the losses incurred a couple of years ago, as we saw the portfolios decrease in value, have largely been recovered over the next couple of years, which is really satisfying. Very happy to take any questions, but that concludes my my review of the financials. Thank you.
Yes, we're just going to pause there and just see if there's any questions, both for Ken in terms of the financials, but also for our co-chairs in terms of their reports that they've given. So there's just going to be an awkward pause there for those people online, but we'll just see if there's any questions on the floor. Kia ora, Maria. And we've got a microphone here as well.
Excellent. Kia ora koutou, Maria Nepia aho, Tūwhare Māori Trust Board. Before I ask my question or give a suggestion, probably more accurate, on behalf of the Tūwhare Māori Trust Board, I want to acknowledge Wikitoria and Tipa. Your service to the Waikato River Authority has not gone unnoticed, and particularly you, Tipa, your leadership as chair. And when I look at the River Authority, it looks substantially different, and that's partly due to you. So thank you for holding the line and pushing us forward. Onto the financials, awesome effort on the finances, and this is probably not a question for Ken. Awesome effort, showing great growth. What I'd like to see, and a suggestion I've got, is can see the positive trend of the finances, but what about the positive trend of the awa? And how do we marry those two things together? And I know that's not easy, but that doesn't mean we probably shouldn't do it. So just a thought or a question, or have you turned your mind to that?
Yeah, kia ora, Māori. That's a really good question. And there's a virtuous tension that we have between making sure that the settlement is invested in those areas which it's ultimately for the protection and restoration of the Waikato and Waipa rivers, as well as the time frame of the settlement payment is a finite term. And so the previous boards, and certainly previous to my time, have made legacy decisions around doing both of those things. And that tension is live today in terms of keeping some money aside and investing it long term to make sure that the dividends and interests of the in perpetuity are able to be invested in the long term, because this is not just a 30-year settlement, which in many ways it was constructed to be. This is going to be an intergenerational challenge, and so the investments do represent an intergenerational investment in perpetuity going forward. But we need to be thinking long term and acting now. So that's the real tension, and we need to be making sure that we're investing in the things that make a difference. And so that tension's live, and thank you for the question. Yeah. And Danny looks like he's going to add to that as well.
Thank you, Maria. Yeah, just to I think where you were coming from as well, we've got the balance sheet in terms of financials. What are we doing in terms of reporting on the hour? So certainly we're doing our next 5-year scorecard in terms of that progress. And we're working with NIWA now to complete that 5-year scorecard report. We're also doing some mahi around what we call restoration curves, and that's part of our board meeting later this afternoon. But again, that is this looking at how do we achieve the 80-year time frame, and maybe having some markers between now and that 80 years in terms of milestones. And again, this is not unique to the river. We're going through this with climate change measurements and everything else, and it's important to have some targets and timeframes. And also we're just, again, also looking at how do we actually make those improvements, and obviously plan change one's a big part of that, and there's alluded to earlier, it's quite a difficult area, but that's the work that we need to do. So certainly the scorecard that's produced with the assistance of NIWA is a big part of, like our balance sheet for the river, but also this other work that we're doing. And then we're also doing a review of Te Ture Whaimana, again, how we're progressing. So there's a few strands that we're working on right now, but in terms of our balance sheet, it will be the scorecard report that's coming out next year. Kia ora.
Thank you for that. Any other questions?
I have a
Kia ora.
concern. Kia ora, ko e Marina Adams tōku ingoa ko nā kai hautu for the Te Whareto Trust Board. I just have a concern knowing that you spoke before about the changes in the acts that are coming up. Are you prepared for any other vast changes that may happen, those bills that may happen for the future? Because although we have a great profit now, I'd hate to see that decline because of the act changes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We are expecting quite significant change in a number of systems, and the current coalition government has signalled with the start of their term that there is significant legislative change, and we're starting to see some of the bills coming through, so that will continue. So in the first half of next calendar year, we're expecting proposals around changes to national policy statements. So getting our heads around that and influencing those both in submissions but also talking to ministers and officials. And then we're also expecting replacement for the Resource Management Act sometime in the next wee while. So that's just those two things are significant changes, and there are other systems at play here as well that we need to be influencing, and that's not just a role for the Waikato River Authority, but that's everybody in the room all doing our part. So we're going to need to be coordinated and talking to each other about who's doing what, because I'm not sure we're going to be able to all respond to everything, but in a coordinated way we can make sure that we're responding in the right place at the right time to things. That's going to be our challenge over the next certainly 12 months at least. Yeah.
Anō nei ngā mihi kia koutou e te pari. Just wanted to add my support to the annual general meeting and to the pātai that Whaia asked, probably the opportunity cost of this legislation on all the work already done. Yeah, if it erodes work that we've already achieved a great gain, we would hate for new legislation or legislative changes to erode those things. So I think we look forward to the River Authority presenting that case. Probably as soon as you step away, you find some ideas. So I've got one. Just got one. For this next period of time, Māoridam's inhaling this whole fast-track legislative change place. We have, when I did the head count across the river, at least 40 people involved in JMA's iwi nei, same commissioners, all of these people who are poised to do things that haven't been networked yet. And I'm looking forward to anything I can offer to that to support the River Authority, maybe networking that group of people. Because if you've never sat in a hearing recently, or you don't know the thing coming down the planning thing, or we haven't talked to each other, we don't know that we're all saying the same thing. Ne? And then alongside council, we have a number of other iwi associated appointments. So all of those people, I'm just wondering the power of that network. Again, I don't think it should cost a lot of money to network us, but we all, like Whaia, have the same concern, and we just want to make sure we've been consistent, saying the strongest thing we can for the awa. So, taku tono kia koutou. E ni rei, give a job as you walk away. Engari, tāku e manako hia nei, I know that you can. Yeah, because we've been set up all right to do this. So, rei anō te mihi kia koutou.
That's wonderful. When you're having an AGM and you have Māori in the room, they're not going to ask a question. They're going to say, here's a problem, but the wonderful thing there, here's a solution as well. So that was wonderful. E mi ana kia koe e tipa. Yeah, here's a concern and here's an idea about how we might address that. That's fantastic. Just check the room, see if there's any other questions. Kia ora, Wikitoria.
Tēnā koutou. Wikitoria tāne ahau.
I was just wondering in terms of the name, and this is probably more for our iwi appointees to the Waikato River Authority. He aha tā koutou, he aha tā tātou ingoa Māori for, the Waikato River Authority, and, I whakatakotoria e au tērā take ki te tēpu hei whakaaro ake mo koutou. Tēnā koutou.
Kia ora. I'd love to see us having a Māori name. E tautokana tērā whakaaro. It's about uplifting, and we have a really unique structure here, an organisation which is a co-governance organisation where it brings the best of the Crown and the best of our river iwi together. And so on one side we have the Waikato River Authority, and I go to a lot of hui and people say, we'd like to thank the Waikato Regional Authority, or we'd like to thank the Waikato River something else. We get lots of names, but so I think there's an importance in the name recognition, and there's some of that, but also I think if we had a commiserate Māori name for our organisation, and I know Gannon, every time he stands up to do his kōrero, I think there's a different Māori name in every kōrero. So I'm counting that he's given us about 4 different Māori names, and there's like this really cool pause that he does, just to see if people are going, ooh, checking with the aunties and uncles, just to see if that name resonates. So that's certainly something that we're committed to along with a bit of a refresh of our website and a whole range of things that we're doing to raise the profile of not only just the organisation, but te Tūri Whai Mana and the mahi that we do with our river iwi partners in the Crown. Thank you. So if that was a question, should we have a Māori name? The answer certainly is yes. We would like to aspire to having a Māori name. Now we're expecting a... Oh, she's in the room. Awesome. Tēnā koe, Anna. Oh, wonderful. Because I was going to jimmy our program around, so that's wonderful. We're going to have we're really privileged to be a supporter of this wonderful program that's run for our rangatahi, and I'm not going to speak to it because I'm going to let Anna Rose, and I think you've brought along one of the whānau who's involved with the project as well, so hara mai. Now I think the presentation's all loaded up, all ready to go. Ka pai, so hara mai.
Ko ngā waka e nei tai nui te arawa toko maru taki tumu Aotea matatua kuraho pahora uta nā toki mata whāroa e. Ka u te waka. Ka u te waka o Kuruwaiti o Kuruwaita. Te mihi tuatahi ki ngā whānau o Wairake a tūwhare toa, ngā ahika o te whenua, o te moana o ngā mainga kāhui. Hoki, ngā mihi ki a kaitou. Te tihi atu mihi ki Waikato River Authority for the invitation to come and kōrero and share with you our awesome tauranga Māori with our rangatahi. Ko whaia Anna Rose ahau. That's what the rangatahi call me, so koe taku ingoa. Engari taku ingoa tūturu ko Anna Rose Solomon Banks. Nā mihi ki a koutou katoa, ki ngā kai whakariti hoki, ki ngā kai karakia hoki. Tēnā koutou. What a privilege to come here. I'm a little bit nervous, but only also because we're a little bit Ngāti Tūreiti. And I was... So, kia ora koutou, and I was thinking, gee, back in the day it would have been cool to have a wakata. At least we would have missed all those roadworks. So, kia ora whānau. Is Tianga on the beep beep? Oh, kia ora. Okay, can we... Okay, so Kuruwaiti ki Kuruwata. So what are we? Well, anei,
titiro ki te whakaahua nei. We're all about mātauranga Māori, authentic ways of learning. And what more better than to put us in our tūpuna awa, to feel, to hear, to smell, to see, to share. He Māori and he mana. So here we are. In partnership, I'd really like to acknowledge Te Tuki Voyaging Trust. They are not our contractors, they are our partners. And that's acknowledging Hoturo Barclay Kerr, Kim Barclay Kerr, and Antipari. So we have partnered with them to support the mātauranga Māori for all our kura kaupapa Māori across the region. Kia ora, neke koa. So our why, many reasons for our why. So how eventually did this program happen? We have an awesome kaupapa called Enviro Schools, which a lot of our English medium kura get, but our Māori medium, our reo Māori rangatahi, we're not picking up this kaupapa. And Ngāti mea kaore no te whakapapa Māori, and kaore rātai kaha ki te reo. He tino kahatira kaupapa, engari he riri ki te whakapapa ni. So our kura kaupapa weren't picking up this opportunity. And so in 2020, I was offered this beautiful opportunity. I wouldn't call it a job, I call it a dream. It is the best role in our regional council. I keep telling them, and because it's about providing for our rangatahi a whakapapa nei, ngā kōrero tuku iho. So our why is up there for those who can see, and especially I think online you can see. It's to grow and nurture and connect aroha mai, confident rangatahi's future kaitiaki of their waterways, and tai awa's Māori for Māori by Māori. That's a particular key of the success of this program. It's to honour te tiriti o Waitangi, to address te turi whaimana, and acknowledge the alignment with the Waikato River Authority, to strengthen our JMA obligations as a regional council, and honour our iwi aspirations and their iwi environmental plans, and to address and advance our regional council strategic priorities. The how, well, our kingitanga values and our principles are like a korowai to us, they're not measurable. It's just the way that we are. It's the way of our being. It's acknowledged by our whole motu. So our kingitanga values of whakaiti, whakapono, aroharangi Māori, manakitanga, kotahitanga, and mahitahi wrap around us to help us not only as kaiako, but also mokapuna to demonstrate those principles and values. They guide us in every moment that we go through the program. Nikki. I think this is the video. Does it go? Oh, Katie Pie. Oh, we'll flick it to WRA another time, but it's an awesome video and it's got some contemporary rangatahi music with it that the rangatahi really enjoy. But in that visuals, you can see our rangatahi on the awa restoring and protecting our tūpuna. Te turi whaimana, vision and strategy, that's our baseline. All the, what guides us. I know in the room we all understand that. In developing this too, in the role, it was a blank role, so in doing a desktop synthesis and kōrero a kanohi to our 5 iwi, it became really obvious the feel that the kaupapa for mātauranga Māori, for this was our tūpuna awa, and as you can see in that pikitia, from Tūwhareto right through to the port, through all our 5 iwi. She was what connected us all together. So this is why we have kura waiti. Our key outcomes for the Waikato River Authority. There's all those bullet pointed there. Empowering our 5 river iwi for Māori by Māori. Empowering our moana iwi, hapu along both our coastal regions for Māori by Māori. Advance mātauranga Māori environmental education for 18 kura. Advance te reo me te tikanga o te taiao for 18 kaiako. Empowering 198 rangatahi over 3 years with additional special events and projects, and delivering 4 waka wānanga and 4 tirohoi per kura. Engaging future kaitiaki for over 217 marae. Aroha mai, our regional council boundaries are really care to our iwi hapi boundaries. So there's 2 eyes that we look over. So there's many more other marae. But those are the figures we have currently. Engaging and advancing rangatahi worlds team. So we have a succession plan of mokopuna and rangatahi who are under the tutelage of Matua Turanga, Barclay Kerr, and there are 4 of them, plus our special intern behind me who'll talk in a minute. And empowering annual internships from the University of Waikato in the Kura Waiti program. So for now, I'm just going to ask if our Hini Manu could introduce yourself and have a kōrero with you. The real visible looking of what Kura Waiti looks like. So, aroha mai.
Kia ora whānau, ko Hinemanu Barclay Kūtoku Ingoa, and I'm Kura Waiti's intern for this year. I'm currently studying at Waikato, doing a Bachelor of Psychology and Pacific Indigenous Studies, and I was lucky enough to be asked to join the kaupapa. I believe that the main reason that we should provide this for our kura kaupapa kids is because we learn better in the environment. We don't like to learn inside classrooms because we feel small. And when we're out on the river, the kids get into it. They love it. They're so funny. They love just hanging out with us, because there's 4 other boys that work with alongside me, and they're the same age as me. We're only young kids, we're teenagers, and we can relate with our tauira Māori, and it's easy to get them to join into the mahi, because I know it's hard for kaiako to make kids want to do the mahi, and especially Māori kids, it's hard. But they love coming to the river and doing mahi with us. And we've noticed that at the start of the year, they were really closed off and they kept coming every term. They started to come out of their showers and be more into the mahi waka. And at the starting, they were learning how to paddle on different waka. So we did waka tangata, waka haurua, and waka ama. And then they also learned how to make hinaki. And, they loved that. They didn't catch any tuna, but they were happy to learn how to make hinaki. And I think just having kura waiti and ki kura wata is a good way to bring our tauira outside of the classroom. Not saying the environment isn't our classroom, but it's just a better way for them to learn. Yeah. And I was just really lucky and happy that Wha Anna asked me to come and join her today. I'm a little bit nervous, that's why I'm talking fast. But I'm just happy to be here and happy to be a part of this kaupapa, because I think wakama, or waka in general, is a good thing to do. I was raised in it, that's my whole world. So I believe for our future generations to be able to learn the importance of waka to Māori or to us is important for the revitalisation of what we want in the future. And yeah, I'm just really proud of how far we've come with Kura Waiti, because we've been working hard, Wha? But yeah, and I'm just happy to be a part of this kaupapa, because it's mean, it's really cool. And yeah, that's thank you. I'll pass it back to Wha.
Yeah, I didn't have to buy any lollies or anything on the way to have to say that, so I'm stoked. I might have to on the way back though. Hene Manu's career pathway, the gorgeous thing about Kura Waiti Waitā is we access the internships as well, and through WRA as well have their interns, so we're crossing over in council to work together. Hene Manu is studying a double major in psychology and Indigenous studies, and is next year going on to, hoping to get the exchange over Hilo and Hawaii to grow her waka mātauranga and reconnect again, and take what she's learning here, or what we're learning of her, with her over our whānau, over in Hawaii, etc. So, I know I've got a short bit of time. The next slide is about the intergenerational framework. So, Matua Antoine talked about looking for intergenerational solutions. Kura Waiti is what we've based our framework around. In the centre, if you imagine a stone dropping into water and it ripples out, in the centre of that is our tupuna awa. We've put her, Waipa and Waikato, in the middle because that's our focus, her well-being. Outside that next ripple is our mokopuna, is our te ture whaimana, our legislative types, our parts that enable us to step in and act in that, on that realm. The next ripple is our mokopuna, our kura waiti, our primary and our wharikura. The next ripple is our internships going into succession planning, all our ones that are going into career training. They're our next target. In the university spaces, research. Our next outside of that is our WRA and our kahui kaitiaki. We have an external reference group, a very expertise group of people that are chosen to help provide the strategic guidance and direction of Kura Waiti. Aroundside that, the invisible ripple, probably the powerhouse of it all, are our marae, our iwi, our kaumātua. So currently we have 108 rangatahi on. That's 12 kura, 2 are in special projects, and 6 are on the prerequisite to kura waitā, to the moana schools. We currently support 12 kaiako. If the kaiako are there in the program, they're taking it back to the kura, right? And they're taking it back to their hapori and taking it back to their marae. And that's how the intergenerational works. We have in that map just places where all the kura are across the region. So it's a bit of a range to get to. That's why we base it in Waikato, because logistically it's difficult to take the waka everywhere, the waka tete, the waka haurua everywhere else. So they come to us, but the learning is transitional. It can reach out. Okay. This is the feedback from our rangatahi, like Hene Manu, they do. You've got to put them in their environment. They connect with it. The reo comes from the taiao. So you're advancing te reo and mātauranga at the same time. That's all the great feedback there from our rangatahi. It's better outside than in the classroom. The learning of the reo, the feeling of the mauri. I presented to the Education Review Office with Waikato Tainui at the beginning of the year. We had evaluators there sharing. It was great to hear what mātauranga Māori actually looks like for kura. Thank you. Sorry to rush. I can blurb on for ages about this. Our partners, I'd really like to acknowledge Waikato River Authority as our principal co-funder, match funding us. Ngā mihi kia koutou. I'd like to acknowledge Waikato Tainui for the community partnerships, Te Papaata Whai Doc, Trust Waikato, University of Waikato, Environmental Research Institute, Mercury Energy, Well Energy Networks, and the Aotearoa Water Patrol. Next year, we're looking into Sport New Zealand. Where to next for Kura Waiti? We're always trying to improve. So there's a whole bullet list there, mainly program-wise. How to go breadth and depth is where we're going to. Largely that's what that's summarised as, and lifting Waita, the Moana space, going on the Wakahaurua. We piloted that a couple of weeks ago out Kawhia, and it was brilliant. Final slide, I think. Where to next? Also intentions for, we are funded up to end of next year, but I'm looking on to 2026 and beyond. So we are currently in an evaluation. We get reviewed every 3 years, so that will give us quality recommendations on moving forward. We will be looking forward to the ongoing support of the Waikato River Authority to help us continue to grow and continue to grow those kaitiaki for us. Nō reira, e te whānau, koe rā taku kaupapa kura waita, very privileged, and thank you for letting us share our kōrero. Kia ora te whānau.
You go just yet. We're just going to pause there and just see if there's any questions, particularly for Ana and Hinimanu. And just to say, we often seek for inspiration from our tūpuna and from our parents and grandparents. But gee, I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from the rangatahi and the next generation coming through. We're in really good stead. So it's wonderful being able to be in a privileged position to be able to support their program and what they're trying to do. And sometimes it's about resourcing and getting out of the way. We don't have to be doing everything. Sometimes there are whānau in the community and other agencies who are doing just fine, they just need our support. So being able to recognise that's really important. But I might just see if there's any questions whānau might have. Or you might be off the hook. That's cool. We might carry on with our presentations. Thank you very much again, Ana and Hinimanu, for braving the traffic from Hamilton. And I know you got caught up a little bit there, but I'm glad you came and joined us and shared the wonderful program, Waitiki Waita. Come on. So we're going to move into the final part of our presentations, and I'm looking to the back to see if we're ready to go. Ko Ngāti Apukura, ko Maitarangi, ko Ngāti Ranginui o Kuiwi, ko Anton Coffin tōku nei noa, he kai hautū hau no te Waikato River Authority.
The appointment of Anton Coffin was announced in May after a nationwide search for a visionary leader to guide the Waikato River Authority forward.
Well, I'm really excited about the foundation that's been set over the last 10 years, and in the last year particularly. There was a symposium last year that brought together everybody who's been involved in this last decade, their thoughts, their aspirations for the future. And so that's a good place to start our journey for this next decade about where do we want to take the Waikato River Authority work, working with our river iwi partners, the Crown, and our river users.
After nearly 6 months of settling in and navigating his new role, the Kaihautu is clear about the priorities moving forward.
Well, there's the things that we must do for the treaty settlement around Te Ture Whaimana and its review, providing advice and guidance to those who are giving effect and having particular regard to Te Ture Whaimana, but also looking at supporting those communities, our river iwi, our hapu marae, who are doing restoration projects on the ground for many generations. So that's the must-dos. And then we need to think beyond that about what are the things that we can do in our lifetime that we can pass on to the next generation.
Coffin's leadership values are anchored in 3 core principles: legacy, love and learnings.
We're an intergenerational enterprise, so we've got the long-term vision of restoring and protecting our Waikato and Waipa rivers. So we want to be focusing on those things that are intergenerational, those things that make the biggest impact. And so we're thinking about those things, but also acting now. The next one is love, the emotion of aroha. We want people to fall in love with their rivers again. We want them to be thinking about the rivers in their everyday lives. We don't have all the answers, so we need to learn our way into the solutions. We need to learn our way into exploring and being curious about the things that will make the difference for our awa and for our communities.
His determination is enshrined in the whakatauki, ko te pai tawhiti, whaia kia tata, ko te pai tata, whakamaua kia tina, which encourages people to have a vision and strive to make it a reality. For Coffin, this means protecting and restoring the Waikato and Waipa rivers for future generations.
Hey, kia ora mai tātou. It was quite a bit of fun putting the video together, and I'd like to thank Tianga and the team for holding me with gloves through that process. It's often quite hard to see yourself on a video as well, so I could have said that different if I had another shot, because you get to do it once and then that's it. It's like, okay, we've got to go now. But just to say that I'm in a privileged position for a short period of time. You know, if you think about the intergenerational challenge, I'm here for a moment in time. And so being really purposeful and being very focused is really important. So for the time that I have with the board I have to achieve great things, that we are part of an intergenerational enterprise. And so I always say we'll be judged harshly by future generations. That gives you extra purpose to think, okay, what are those things that we need to be investing in? Those wonderful projects that we have, of which the Waitiki Waitaha is one of many projects. And what are the things, looking for those projects and programs that we can support, but also what I said about exploring and being curious, because we don't have all the solutions. We shouldn't be sitting here in a position thinking we have all the answers. We don't, because if we did, you would already see all of them being enacted in our environment, and we can't do things on our own. We have to work with others. So I'm very much about partnerships and collaborations, working on those things that are really important, and being a little bit fearless. Like sometimes there's a certain amount of fear of getting it wrong, of failing. We don't use that F word very often because we think, oh geez, we don't want to say that out loud. But we shouldn't be afraid, because we're going to be doing things that others haven't done before. We know what the aspiration is, we know what our purpose is, we know what we need to do, and we need to go and do that, being a little bit fearless. That was an unscripted speech. And I haven't been told to should cut it short yet. But just to thank all of our board members who are present with us today, and thank our co-chairs for their words of wisdom at the start, and particularly our special guest, Anna and Henimanu, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you very much. And I was told by Danny, don't be disappointed if not many people turn up to the AGM, and it's been wonderful. E ki ana te whare, ki te whakarongo ki ngā kōrua pāna, ki te pai koiora, o te rā ko te Waikato River Authority. Nō rei he mihi kawana kia koutou katoa. Which, again, I'm just getting the announcement from the back, ask for any questions. So we might just pause there again and see if there's any questions or comments. Kia ora, Maria.
Sorry, repeat offender. Anton, lovely to have you in the seat. Real excited to see how you're going to track us forward in the next wee while. We're watching with eyes from the top of the river. My question is around the review of Te Ture Whaimana, a really important document. The Tuwhiri Māori Trust Board has looked at the landscape and really made a conscious decision that our local tools, our regional tools, whether they be JMAs, Accords, Te Ture Whaimana, for example, are, in the words of my chair, turbocharged, so that we're trying to insulate ourselves from the national politics, right? So I think with the review of Te Ture Whaimana underway, really mindful of that, really mindful of the interface that document's going to have to play into the Crown, and I'm really keen to understand what is the authority's view of that. Do you have a strategy for that? Because it would be a real stink that we did all this awesome work to fail at the gate, and I can imagine, speaking only on behalf of the Trust Board, we would have serious concerns about that if we failed at the gate because for whatever reason, the Crown thought we were pushing too far, too hard. So just keen to get some views, some insights, some thoughts about that.
I'll make a start and then invite if there's the other board members who want to make comments. 3 things. One is upholding Te Ture Whaimana, or the treaty settlements, including Te Ture Whaimana as a package. And so, what's the word? Weathering the storm of change that we're seeing across a number of systems. So that's the first thing. The second one, and I think that's to your point about turbocharging, is making sure that we're using all the mechanisms in to their most. And so I'm the first to say there's a number of mechanisms that perhaps haven't been used to their full extent, or even they've been sitting there latent, waiting to be used. And some of those are part of Te Ture Whaimana, and others are the tools within the treaty settlement in terms of how it's supposed to be given effect or given particular regard to by a number of agencies. Some of those agencies have been very, very quiet. Perhaps we'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they've been passive until now in terms of how are they turning their minds every year in terms of their work programs to giving effect. How are they reporting and accounting for the way in which they've done that in the qualitative side of things? So we'll say that many agencies have been passive, and we'll be looking to them to be active. And then over and beyond Te Ture Whaimana and the treaty settlements, there's settings in the system that help facilitate the symptoms of the issues that we see in terms of contamination of water and land use across the rohe. And so we'll need to turn our minds to what parts of those system settings would we like to change, and how might we be able to change those. And that's a conversation that we have to have together, because it requires concerted effort. Particularly things around behaviours, culture change, and that's an area that I'm really enjoy working in, changing the cultures of organisations, and that's where you can make significant gains, even though things are written on paper. If people choose, there was that lovely quote we gave by David, someone at the symposium talked about David Attenborough, and he's one of my heroes. You know, if people don't care about something, they're not going to look after it. And so there's a lesson there. So for everybody here, we're the converted, but there are many who are not here in the room with us or with us online who we need to be changing their minds or showing them not only the concern, but also, in Tipper's words, also showing them the options or the solutions of moving forward. So all of those things need to be in train. And I'll just pause there and just see if any other members would like to make a comment.
Thank you again, Maria. So I think this part of the answer, though, to Emarina's question earlier, which is how are we going to deal with all these changes? And I'm more mindful of the removal of clauses, treaty clauses from RMA and everything else. Manawa Te Wai, something that a lot of us put a whole lot of time and effort into. So for me, Te Ture Whaimana is, in the legislation, everything that's around it, is the last man standing. It is likely to survive this onslaught, so we need to make sure that we're using all the tools in the toolkit, as Maria would say, and that's why with this review of vision and strategy, we are looking at rules and methods and everything else, which are those tools that can hopefully not only underpin the wider picture, but specific tasks like PC1. You know, we've got this government now removing sections to undermine that mahi, and that's mahi that a lot of our iwi and our other stakeholders have engaged with for quite some time, you know, good 5, 6, 7 years, and again, we don't want to lose all that work because it is the biggest part in terms of making those first steps in terms of restoring our river. So I don't want to sort of, I'm going to use an analogy of leaving rounds of ammo in my magazine, and when we go shooting, we want to make sure that we're taking all those opportunities, and that that is going to be a little bit more work for ourselves and engagement with the iwi and Waikato Regional Council and everything else. But for me, even from the previous term, that's why we push for the review of the vision strategy. The world has changed. We've got this opportunity to not only take stock and everything else, but also use these, extra rounds, extra magazine in the gun belt to make sure that we're using everything ahead. So I can't guarantee we won't fail, but what I can guarantee is that we're going to make sure that everything that we can do is going to be brought out on the table. Kia ora.
There was actually a whakataukī that was going through my mind, and I think it's whātu nauranaura te tangata, narasinga toitui te awa. And my point is that governments will come and go, councils will come and go, but the awa will always be here, and the board are very mindful, and the WRA, of the responsibilities. And as Anton said, we're here for a very, very short time. So, yep, there might be some ripples. We're going through those at the moment, but I'm confident, Maria, that we'll be there for the long term. And yeah.
Kia ora, Michelle Griffiths. I really appreciate that question. I mean, we're standing here or sitting here and saying, yes, there's going to be a review. But we are not the answer. The answer is everybody else. We need the engagement with the review. So when these hui start happening, the public is invited to come and share and to participate. And you may have some ideas, some answers. You may have some critiques of what's happened. And that is what we need to help inform our vision and strategy. Because the awa doesn't belong to just the sport. It belongs to all of us, especially all the communities along Waipa, along all the tributaries as well as Waikato. So it's your voice that we need to strengthen the vision and strategy for the well-being of everybody along those waters, all the communities, all the metropolises. There was some recent publicity around the quality of the awa. And I think people in a particular city started to see that the awa and the quality of the water coming out of the awa doesn't just affect iwi, it affects everybody. So we invite you to participate, we invite you to come with your concerns, with your critiques, with your solutions, to help us to not only protect and maintain the river as it is, but to restore it for the well-being of all the users. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Maria. I'm just adding to Michelle's kōrero. We have to go beyond promoting te ture whaimana, where we are an authority. So in regards to our Crown partners, local government, we should be more directive and more prescriptive in regards to ensuring that everyone plays their part in regards to giving effect to te ture whaimana. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Maria. I'm going to take a slightly different tact and not talk about te ture whaimana, but talk about the attack that Māori are under by this current government. Haven't talked about this with the board. I am new to the board, so we'll see what they think in the afternoon. But I think as a child of Te Tiriti settlements, the River Authority have a role in supporting, I guess, iwi views, Māori views on the current onslaught of policy change that this current government is invoking on us. So really just challenging my colleagues here to recognise that role that we have. We can't stay silent. We need to have a voice alongside our iwi partners and everyone who understands why this Te Tiriti Principles Bill is not the one, why all of the policy that's looking to remove references to te tiriti to undermine the role of Māori in this country should not be supported. So I just want to put that out there to everyone and to my board members, just to remind us that we are a child of te tiriti settlements, and so we have to stand for te tiriti. Kia ora.
Sorry, Stu, I was looking at you because you're the only the board member that hadn't seen anything. Stu Taupō. Kapai, awesome. We started the day, Bronson started us off with a karakia in Whakatau, and Gannon responded. We went through our program today in terms of acknowledging both Tipa and Wikitoria in their service to the Waikato River Authority and to the people of our awa. We had a presentation from Danny just reflecting on the last 12 months, and then Stu with his, I suppose, also reflections in terms of what's been done and looking forward. We had Ken provide us with the financials, and we're in a strong position both now and for the future. But there was a really interesting question around managing that tension between investing now in the things that make a difference vis-a-vis those things you need to do in future years. And we've also had myself do my first video for the Waikato River Authority, and thank you for your indulgence with that. And some really interesting questions around, and also some helpful ideas around how we might take the Waikato River Authority from where we are now into the future. In our last conversation, particularly about the role of the treaty settlements, Te Ture Whaimana, and the onslaught of reform and change that we're seeing coming out of Wellington. So thank you very much to everybody who's come along. And sorry, and the really important part of our presentation today was Ana and Hanemanu in terms of the Waitiki Waita program. So thank you again. So thank you everybody for attending our AGM here today, and also like to thank our host, Tūwhare Toa, for the wonderful manaakitanga that we shared last night, but also taking care of us while we're here in this venue at this time. Nō reira, e tukunatu ngā mihi kia koutou katoa, ko tai tēnā mai e raro te tuni e tēnei whare, e tēnei wai e tukunatu rāke kia koe Bronson i whakakapi a tatau hui.
Tēnā tātou e te whare, te poare kei mui au, tēnā koutou anō, te poare ōmua kei muri i au, tēnā koutou. Aku mihi whakaro i tēnei wātonu. Kei raro tātou i te maru o te poare o ngā titu whare toa, me kōrero poto ahau mō ngā hapu o tēnei whenua, ngā hapu o mua me ngā hapu o nāianei, o tira te kapoterangi i te kia o Runui, o tira a Ngāti Rauhoto, o tira a Ngāti Rauhoto Ātia, o tira a Ngāti Ohomairangi, o tira a Ngāti Karetoto. E rua ngā manga i kōnei e rere atu ki te Waikato, o tira te kiri o hene kai me te wairā kei. Nā te tuāhua o ngā mahi o te Pākehā, kua tini hiangi nā tuāhua. Nō rere me mihi atu ki ngē nā kaupapa, he kaupapa nunui kei wāngi a tātou i tēnei wātonu. I ngā wiki kua hipa, he paku raru i te mihini hiko, engari mā te karakia me te mahi o te Māori tēnā atu āhua i whakatika. Koenei ngē tehi tauira o ngā mahi kei te haere kei mui a tātou i tēnei wā. Engari kā te au i te kōrero mō ngē nātake. Karekau he kōrero mai ngā hapuna e pāna ki te Ture Whaimana, engari me mātua mōhi o tātou e whai ana ngī tehi o ngā kaitiaki, e whai kahana ngī tehi o ngā rangatahi ki te piritonu, ki te tiaki pai i te tai ao. Mōhi o pai a Charlie ngē nā tū āhua. Nō reira, tēnā tātou. Kā te au e kōnei marungi te karakia kei noa tātou. E pātomata mate nui te rangi, kua o tia mātou te wānanga nei te hui mō ngā take a te whaimana a te awa o Waikato. Manaki hea te poari, manaki hea ngā kaimahi, manaki hea mātou katoa he whakapapa ai ki te Waikato tani wharau. Tēnei tamātou inua ki a koe, marotu te ngō tapu i Ukraiti, hāmene. Kia ora tātou.
Hey, kia ora tātou te whānau. The AGM is now closed and we'd like to invite you to join us for lunch next door. So that's not just a polite, we'd like to invite you to lunch. We really would like to invite you to come and have lunch with us next door. Kia ora whānau.